person who inspired me to start collecting vinyl, definitely my mother. Vinyl was always around the house. My mother was and is a lover of music, and she collected all types of music. The Eagles, Coke Escovedo, the Temptations, all the Motown stuff. A lot of jazz, Donald Byrd, Ron Carter, George Benson, Esther Phillips, Grover Washington Jr., some of everything, Hendrix, so there was always a lot of vinyl around the house. And some of my fondest memories are on Sundays, Saturdays and Sundays, cleanup day. And a lot of households was like that back in the 70s. On cleanup day, you have some music playing. That was a day that you listen to your 45s and listen to your albums or whatever. So that was always something that was present in my household. So whenever there was some kind of family get together, Thanksgiving dinner, 4th of July cookout, anytime we got together and there was music, I was kind of the DJ at that point. This is before hip hop. So, we had the little component set where you could almost program it to play the record. You could stack up several records and you could almost program it to play them in a certain order. I was in charge of the record player. So that's always been just very second nature to me. And like I said, this is before there was even any hip hop where we really were hands-on with records. I always just had this fascination with music, specifically records. I've been collecting since I was about 7 years old. Christmas of 1978, my grandmother bought me a turntable, and not anything like we see in modern day, with pitch control and all these fancy things. It was just a record player. It didn't have the radio and the built-in, other components on it. It was just a turntable with a left jack and a right jack for your speakers in the back, and it's plugged in. And I'll never forget that Christmas morning, seeing her coming up the sidewalk with this huge bag full of gifts, and there's this huge gift wrapped box, and it had my record player in it. And that Christmas, my mother also bought me a few pieces of vinyl. This is what I got that Christmas of '78 to go with my record player: Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions, David and Jimmy Ruffin, and like I said, it was 1978. I was 8 years old. I got an Archie's record, which is pretty cool. So those three were the genesis of the monster that's been created since. I collect all genres because, again, I grew up on all genres, and this is an extension of my childhood. So, I collect rock records. I got Billy Squier, I got AC/DC, I got Led Zeppelin, Kiss, Quiet Riot. And this is not, again, I have to stress, this is not just to sample and make beats off of. This is for enjoyment of music. Pop music like Hall & Oates, Cyndi Lauper, the whole MTV era, the Thompson Twins, Duran, Eurythmics, all that kind of stuff. Onto the jazz and the, of course, hip hop. Heavy into funk and R&B, and just that classic soul of the Delphonics, Blue Magic, the Dells, Stylistics, the Temprees, Blue Magic, stuff like that. So all genres, country, a big lover of Johnny Cash. I probably have the least country of any genre in my collection, but I still do have country, and like I said, mostly Johnny Cash. So I collect all genres. Behind my back, they probably think it's a little weird. Like, we had CDs, we have MP3s now, we have all this technology. Why is this guy still collecting vinyl records? Why is he in a record store a few times a week? Isn't he running out of space yet? Doesn't he have everything? But in actuality, I have to say that because I've been doing it so long, again, since I was 7 or 8 years old, it's such a part of me that anybody that knows me, they know, okay, that's Jay's thing. His music and his records, that's his thing. So I don't have any immediate friends who share this hobby, because this is a very niche thing that we do, collecting vinyl, and even caring about it is just a very, very niche hobby. So everybody's probably good with it. They just, they know that's me. That's just Jay's little quirky thing that he does, and he's always done it. So So it's cool. The first one is nothing obscure or rare. It's just it's Earth, Wind, and Fire Spirit. Anything by Earth, Wind, and Fire I never grow tired of. But this particular piece of vinyl just has sentimental value. Just growing up, this record played a whole lot in the household. You know, it had Getaway, Saturday Night, On Your Face. I mean, it's a classic album. It has sentimental value to them, but it has sentimental value, to the group. It did, and it had it to me also. I mean, anything on this album brings up, some very vivid memories of, playing with your toys on the carpet, your Play-Doh, your action figures, or whatever. This. I can almost smell the incense burning in the house, when I listen to this one. Going back, Hamilton Bohannon, the Stop and Go album. Mainly because I passed it up the first time. Any diggers know, you pass a record up, you go back, it's not there, you never see it again. It's not extremely rare, but it's just one that eludes me every time. I mean, every time I would go looking or digging, I would see several Bohannon records, the same 2 or 3 records, but never Stop and Go. And when I finally cop one, then every time I see it, I get it. If it's anything under $5, so I got like 5 or 6 of them there. I know that sounds crazy, but again, that's what we do. But on this one, of course, it's Save Their Souls and A Song for My Mother are the classics. Many a hit record has been made with that album. Anyone who knows me knows that I collect records on the Sugar Hill label, and these days I try to collect the most obscure records. And this is a Brazilian pressing. It's a compilation called Sugar Hill Funk, and it doesn't have anything rare on it. It's very common songs. Funk Box by Sugar Hill Gang, Hey Fellas by Trouble Funk, Monster Jam, featuring Spoonie G and Sequence. Just a compilation of just funky Sugar Hill stuff. Like I said, it's a Brazilian pressing. It has the Sugar Hill candy stripe logo on the front. It says Sugar Hill Funk, and it's actually on RCA Records. So anything like that, any RCA distributed records from, usually they're from Brazil, but for Argentina, all over the world, Sugar Hill, had these records for overseas distribution, and those are very interesting to me. Got a Leon Ware album here. Listen to it all the time, especially What's Your World is a song that I love on here. And that's one of those that I got because, as usual, neighbors throwing away records, they know that, hey, Jay is a record collector. Had somebody call my mom up, hey, got a box of records here, a couple boxes of records, see if Jay wants them. So I go look through them, these dusty records, get my hands all dirty, seeing the same stuff. Lionel Richie, Can't Slow Down, Off the Wall by Michael Jackson, the soundtrack to Shaft, the soundtrack to Purple Rain, the records that everybody has. And then I come upon this Leon Ware record, and I come across What's Your World, and I started researching Leon Ware. And I found out he's a pretty big deal. Collaborated with Diana Ross's brother on a lot of classic things. And then wrote most of the I Want You album, collaborating with Marvin Gaye. And, he's a hell of an artist and producer in his own right. So that was a nice find. And, of course, Skull Snaps. All the hip-hop cats know, Skull Snaps is a new day. When you put the needle down, you hear that boom, boom, bap, boom, tap. Everybody knows the drums on that one. But another one where a friend of mine's parents were throwing away records. This was back in probably 86, 87. Wanted to know if I wanted it. Of course I do. I get it. Here's a new day. Me and my crew actually make a song to it before Steezo even dropped it. Steezo was the first one that I knew to use that beat. And but of course we didn't have a record deal or anything, so ours didn't go anywhere. But Skull Snaps was something that I had in the arsenal for a minute. And I love Trespassing and It's a New Day are the ones I listen to on here. Initially, I thought it was a rock record because of the cover, the skulls and everything. And I'm like, Skull Snaps, what kind of name is that for a group? And I just, I wasn't even going to play it at first, because I was young back then. I was 16, 17 years old. So my habits of listening were a lot different. I'm glad I did go ahead and play it because It's a New Day turned out to be a gem amongst gems. Dig often. If you're lucky enough to have a spot, a record store, or a thrift store, or if you go to yard sales, wherever you acquire your vinyl, but especially the record stores, I would say dig often because you could go on a Wednesday and say, oh, it's dead in here. This is the same thing they had last time I was here. And then Thursday morning, somebody could come in with several crates of records, and you got classics you missed out on. So if you have the disposable income and you have the time, I would say dig often. You know, that's my first thing. Always check the dollar bins. A lot of people sleep on the dollar bins. And the dollar bins, for me, aren't what they used to be. I used to find some real gems in the dollar bins very often. And I still do, but not as much, because technology and the internet and eBay and auction sites in particular have made it so that the collectors, or I'm sorry, the store owners know now when they buy a batch of vinyl from someone, the first thing they do is go on the internet and see, you know, the median price that it sells for, so they know how to price it accordingly. In the early days, of course, there was no internet, so, you know, a lot of store owners that weren't in the know would just look at something, or, you know, whatever, and put $1 on it. And that's where I got a lot of my greatest records, in the dollar bins, and you still find that. So I say check the dollar bins, dig often, and I also say, you know, I don't know why you're digging. You know, people dig for different reasons, but I would say expand your horizons in your genres. If your favorite genre is funk or rock or country or whatever, I wouldn't be so tunnel vision as to only collect one genre, or to look at a cover. You know, I guess, you know, pardon the pun, you can't judge a record by its cover, literally. You could look at a cover and it could look corny or crazy, and it could have gems on it. Or, you know, the inverse of that is it could be a great looking cover and you get it home and there's nothing on it. So people dig for different reasons. Some people are hip hop producers who sample. They're looking for something, you know, it's beat heavy or sample ready. Or people just, you know, they do it for enjoyment. The resurgence of the interest in vinyl, I think, comes from, it's hip, and young people always want to be hip. They want to be different. It's kind of rebellious to do something different. You know, all your friends have MP3 players, and, you know, you collect vinyl. And I think those are two big things. And the warmth is what I keep hearing from young people. The warmth of the sound, which is very true. You know, your vinyl records, your analog recording, the more you turn it up in volume, the fatter the sound gets, which is really good for anything that's beat heavy or bass heavy, bottom heavy, like hip hop or funk or even some rock records. You can listen in an analog form or on vinyl, and you get a warmth. The more you turn it up, the more the sound fattens. Where with digital files are just ones and zeros, and you get what you get. You can turn it up as loud as you want, and you're going to get the same. That oomph is not there. It's just the same thing. You know, it's more clear. You know, clarity's there, but, you know, it's just a warmth to vinyl that I think that a lot of young people are getting into, and it's a good thing. But, you know, for whatever reason you dig, if you're discovering something new and good, then that's a good thing. Why do I collect vinyl? I guess it goes back to the first question. Again, it's in my DNA. It was around me so much. Every family get together, you know, music was the centerpiece, and vinyl was the format. So, you know, it's like I said, it started around 77, 78. And from there, you know, it just flourished into to what it is now. I was a kid who, if I was invited to your house, or if my mother was visiting friends or visiting family, first thing I say coming through the door, can I look through your records? And they knew, go ahead and look, because, you know, kids at that point didn't have iPods and portable game systems and tablets and such to entertain ourselves. So, you know, in my times of boredom, I go look through the records and I stare at the record covers and look at the records, and I developed the knowledge to see, okay, if this person is a producer on the record, it's probably got a good sound to it. This person engineered it. This person's on this label. I knew this stuff way, you know, before my teen years. So when hip hop became more and more popular and sample heavy, I got more into the production end. I mean, I'm already a MC. I rhyme, but when I got into the production end, I kind of had a leg up on a lot of people, because I already knew, oh, you know, anything on CTI records has probably got some good, you know, nice jazzy horns on it, or anything produced by a blah 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 person probably got a good beat to it, because I knew that from childhood. Now, even looking at the run out grooves, the blank space after the music, where there's no grooves on the record, you know, I even knew where it was mastered. You know, Herb Powers at Frankfurt Wayne Mastering Labs and True Tone and all that. Only us geeks and real aficionados are gonna get, like I said, into that niche level of just really nerddom of looking at things like that. It's probably a little weird to people, but that's what we do. That's who we are, and that's what we do. Keep digging.